I brought one and I brought like a neck pillow too.
Okay.
But a lot of times it saves space. I'll just. And then you put this through here, and it keeps the. So now you have something to hang your hammock on.
Okay. All right. Nice. That's really.
This is what's called a whoopie sling. It's a piece of AM steel. It's braided line,
Okay.
and then it goes. It's buried back into itself, so it gives you this tail right here.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can pull on the tail, and it will constrict around it to make this loop smaller, and then you milk it, and now it's tight.
That's cool.
Yeah,
That's cool.
it's called a whoopie sling. They come from like arborists use them when they like fell trees.
Okay.
That's where the whole thing came from. They made it into hammocks. So I always use red for head, and then if I have another color, it'll be blue for balls. So head and feet, you know. The loop of your whoopie sling, twig for this. This is just holding the knot.
Okay.
So you put the whoopie sling around on the knot, and now this just hangs free. So now you're on the knot. You can use a little twig or anything, just strong enough to keep it.
And then you lay on the other
Yep.
side.
And then you unfold.
Perfect.
Put the other end of the whoopie sling on.
Mm-hmm.
Boom.
Wow.
And then to raise it and lower it, you got that angle with the distance. It gives you like 30 degrees if you make a little gun.
Mm-hmm.
That'll give you roughly 30 degrees. That's how you kind of tell. And then we want our head and our feet a little bit higher. So you just take the tail and shorten that loop with it, and then milk the berry, and it's.
It stays up there.
Yep.
Cool.
So now when you lay in it, you're not looking at. You're going to be laying diagonally across this way, not straight up and down. It's kind of weird, but if you look at it, when you get in, this part will be almost completely flat going across. So you're not like, oh, I sleep in a hammock here, you're going to be in a banana. But if you sleep across this way, it's almost completely flat.
It flattens
on the
out.
diagonal.
So you just gotta kind of sleep in like sideways a
Yeah,
little
you
bit.
just go, you lay, and your body and your feet will spread the fabric out.
Mm-hmm.
And then on these hammocks, I have pull-outs right here. So this pulls out here like that.
Okay. You
And
can
then on the other side, there's one. This is a Warbonnet Blackbird XLC. So the way it's cut with the net, this part here, makes like a shelf. So when it looks like this when it's all pulled out. See the fabric right here?
Yeah.
It stakes out, and now you can store stuff
On the other
in this
side.
little shelf right here.
That's pretty handy.
Yeah,
Pretty
it's
handy.
really cool. So that stakes out like that.
Nice.
And then if you look in there, you can see like across that line, it's almost completely flat.
Right.
So like your feet will be over here,
And
in
you
that
put your
little-
head in there.
and then your shoulders and your head will be like
And you got
right
extra
here.
storage space too.
Yep, and you drop your.
Yeah.
So now all you guys do is just kind of get it how you want it. Make sure it's nice and milked, and then that's it really. Now it's,
Ready to go.
I always take a step back, and I can go a little higher on my feet, I think. I need to lower it and just milk this end. and it pulls the tail up, and then it pulls the tail up and makes the loop longer, so it lowers it.
Huh. Handy. Handy stuff. Nice.
Loops. So it's 2 pieces of webbing, and they're sewn. Separate it. There's these loops sewn into it, all the way down, and then you, instead of having the marlin spike and the whoopie sling, you just got a loop on the end of your hammock called a continuous loop, and then you just take the carabiner and stick it on here.
Oh.
And it hangs. It's a little bit more simple. It's not as like fidgety.
Yeah.
You know, it's more of a basic beginner setup. So we're gonna put your head down here, right? Yeah, because it's gonna be lower. Put your head down this end. Hold it like that. And you always want to make sure that you have it on the side of the tree that you're going to hang from, because if not, it'll be bent over like that.
Right.
And it puts stress on this knot here. So you want to have it so it's on the side, and that way it comes straight out of the tree. We're not really big guys, so we're not going to be putting a lot of stress on it.
Yeah.
But like some of the dynamic forces that are on these things are crazy.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
I've seen people have trees pulled out of the ground. You know, like that. Go. So we'll put your feet in. I'm a tree hugger now, Nigel. Guard, boom, set it up. I don't want to deal with a bunch of knots and.
Right.
So I'll just randomly pick one. You know, I don't know where it's going to be yet, like the distance. So I'll just put it in, and that. You got this double-ended stuff sack here. That will. This is a piece of AM steel, just like that whoopie sling. So it comes off, it wraps around the whipping of the hammock. So we'll just clip it in. Like I said, I have no clue if that's going to be the right spot, but we'll grab the other end. Boom.
Perfect.
Actually, that's set up pretty good.
Yeah, look at that.
So when you get in it, you want to have just like a little tension in it, and that'll really give you that. That's pretty good.
Nice eyeballing.
Yeah, I've done it quite a few thousand times. And like there's different weights of fabric, and the different weights, you know, have different weight limits to them, like different fabrics. These are all proprietary fabrics that you can't get like, at a fabric store. Like
That's something they made.
they designed this
patented
fabric themselves.
Wow.
And had a
Probably
shop
a shit ton of money in it.
Oh my God, yeah. There's a lot of R&D. Yeah. So I DIY'd it myself and put shop port at the end of it, right?
Okay.
And they saw it, and now they make them this way.
Oh wow, that's cool that they.
Yeah.
Wow.
So all for this, all you do is just got. It's just like a blanket, right? And it clips on your head end, your foot end, and it goes underneath of you on the outside, like this. Because if you were to lay on the insulation, you would crush it and it wouldn't keep you warm anymore. So now you've got this quilt that hangs underneath, and with this shot cord in the end, you can get it, like if it's really hot, you can leave it like not scrunched up, and you get a draft in there a little bit.
Oh nice, okay.
Or if it's the winter time, you can seal it up real tight.
And then you won't get anything
And then it's got a piece, there's two shot cords here. There's a loop that goes through the top all the way around, and that's what you're connected to. And then there's one piece of shot cord on each end that's tied to the corners. So you've got like a cord lock here. So with this one keeps it up on you, and then this one right here pulls it up.
Okay.
So you got different angles. So then you can take this one, since your head's going to be on this side, you can tighten it to where this side is pulled up a little bit, and then that your feet will be over there, so you can pull it to that, and that way it's kind of like angled a little bit, so your head and your feet are more covered. Cool. That when you get in it, it'll spread out with you, like that. Snug it up, and then what I do is I take a little carabiner, and I'll take this shock cord that goes all the way around it like a big oval that's hooked to the hammock. I'll take each side up like this, and now you've changed the angle of it, so it's pulling it up more instead of out. So now it's really pulling it up against your butt and your bottom, and like your legs. So that angle really goes really up. So it's pulling this real high up instead of pulling it out more. Now when you get in it, if it's not adjusted right, you can just kind of unzip it and snug it around. You can tighten it with this cord lock right here. If it's too loose on you and you're cold in the middle of the night, before we go to bed, when you get in it, you'll lay in it and I'll snug it up where you probably say it's comfortable. But if it's, you know, not comfortable or you're getting a draft, you can always pull it up and it'll shorten that, you know, and it'll suck it up even more.
Okay, cool.
But it's not compressed, so it's nice and hangs underneath of you. That's why it's like a sleeping bag with the top quilt is like the other half of the sleeping bag, like the top part. You already saw that. Your feet go on the bottom.
Yep.
And if you get too hot, you can just undo that and have your feet hanging out.
Wow.
So that goes inside. And since it's goose down, this is synthetic, but this is goose down.
Okay.
So I always put it in the hammock right away to let it
Fluff up.
Yep. And then boom, there's your rig. Make sure you get your tarp up. Things are the titanium, and they're all named after like insects. So this thing on here is a Dutch wasp because it looks like a wasp.
Ooh, it's a cool looking little thing.
It's got two little holes in it, and the line goes through it around the other side. You take a little loop and stick it over the stinger, so it holds it and it doesn't slide on it. You wrap it around the tree, through the hook, around the antenna, and it keeps it tight.
Wow.
This little piece of titanium, it's a Dutch hook, because it looks like a little hook. And then take it around the tree. It'll wrap around the tree. And then that little hook there where its head is, I'll go through that. And I can tighten it. It's going through that. Its head hole there. And your hammock suspension is going in this triangle. So it's free, it's not gonna get in the way. You get it nice and tight where you want it. And then you wrap it. I didn't loop it around its butt. You take a loop and wrap it along the foot. Now it's locked. So now I can tighten it, wrap it around the antenna, and then it locks under the wing. And that's it.
Yeah. Cool.
And then this is just another piece of this line here. It's called Zing It. This is a knot called a Prusik. It's a loop that's wrapped around 3 times, and then the end is stuck through it. So you can slide it back and forth, but when you pull on it, it puts tension, these little coils, and it locks it.
Okay.
So you can slide it where you want it, and then the tarp is pulled from here.
Keeps it there.
Yep. I'll put a small carabiner on it. We've got our tarp in the snake skin. Into the tarp. It's got a, oh, it's already got a beam on it. Just go into these little beastie D's like it's on the hammock. And just flip it in. Shorten it up a little bit. It's tapered, so this end's real small and it's a little wider on this end. The other end of the tarp is here on this end. It's got another beastie D. Move this thing down. Put it in there, and now you can tighten it up, and boom, now your hammock is, or your tarp is skinned. But oh, it's starting to rain. What do I do? You just unskin it.
Oh.
And boom, there's your tarp.
Wow. Check that out.
Isn't that cool?
That's awesome.
And all these are handmade. These are all handmade. The tarps, the hammocks. You can't just go to, you know, REI or Walmart and get, somebody made all these by hand.
Wow.
It's all, they're called cottage made, you know. Made in the USA. Like this was made in Colorado. This is made in Ohio. All the quilts are made by Hammock Gear in Ohio. Yeah. This tarp was made in Pennsylvania. And you want to have the, if it's going to be nice, you can put the tarp up over it. But if it's going to, you know, be bad weather, you can bring it underneath. And then we'll kind of do like how that end, we have that triangle there that our suspension goes through.
Mm-hmm.
We're kind of going to do the same thing, but with a knot.
Okay.
So we'll run it on the tree. And then we're going to come down here where we want that the apex of that triangle to be. Kind of, because we need some room for the tarp. So we'll put it at about here. We'll take it, give it some slack, fold it back on itself. And then we'll pass the line through it. So now we have a loop in it, right? And now we can take this line that goes around the tree, put it through the loop, and now we've got mechanical advantage. So now we can yank on it. And now we have that suspension triangle, just like over there. We get centered, give it some tension. Right? Now you're just going to pinch it off and put what's called a slippery half hitch. So you pinch it, let it hang, take a loop, fold it over, and then grab this, pull it through, and then pull it up, and boom. That's it. And it's tight. And then, like I said, you got your suspension that goes through it, so it's not really in the way. And you got all this extra, so you can just coil up later and do whatever with. Real quick loops, doesn't have to be fancy. You can use fisherman's knots or whatever you want to use, but we'll just make 2 loops. Take the loop, pass it over, go underneath. Go underneath, go up and underneath again, and then pull it tight. And snug it up, and now you've got that Prusik on there. You can slide it where you want it. Just make a knot. Doesn't have to be fancy. Come down here and do the same thing. Loop it over. Go up and over once. Up and over twice. Up and over 3 times, and then pull it tight, get it all squared away so it's nice and neat. Bunch it up, and now you can slide it, and it works best when you have 2 different thickness lines like this and that. So it's got, you know,
Tension.
something to bite into. Doesn't have to be pretty, you know.
Yeah.
And then we just take, find your ridgeline. This is the first like real tarp I had, like not Walmart.
Yeah.
Blue tarp. Now.
Bam.
Yep. It pulls out here. These flaps go around to make doors. These pull it out like that to give you like more room on the inside.
Wow.
So that's pretty cool.
Cool.
Cool, man. And that's your tarp.
Sick.
And what I do is I'll stake out like just this side and then just flip it over, like hanging in there. That way it's, all I gotta do at bedtime is just stake the front part out.
Right.
This is, so you've got a piece of shot cord, and then it's called a line lock 3. It's just a piece of hardware, plastic hardware, and then the line goes through it. This end's got a loop. Stick the loop in. Run it off where about what you think it's going to be, and then you can tighten it up just like that.
Wow.
Yeah, and then if you use these, it pulls it out, so you've got like fucking room.
You can
in
almost
there.
like stand up and.
Yeah, oh yeah, you could. This is where you would use your trekking poles, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
And these doors here, you got it stretched out like this. These flaps come over like that, and you've got the ends closed off, so now it can rain its fucking ass off.
Yeah.
You know?
Even sideways.
Yep. And I've got a tarp just like this, different company, but it's got a stove jack right here, so I can put a stove inside the tarp. And you'd be surprised, like, if it's open, it keeps the heat in there.
Yeah, because
I've had it to like 70 degrees in there when it was like 20 outside.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's really cool.
The loop, grab it, and then pull it, and now it's tight. And this is all reflective line. Like really snowing or raining or something, you can actually stake the middle out too. And it batten down the hatches. Stuff sacks. Suspension there. And like I said, both these nets will zip all the way off. So it's topless.
Wow.
And then each of them have, it's called a winter cover. It's you zip the net off, and then you zip, made out of this hammock fabric. It zips on top. And it's got a little bit of a net, like mesh window right here. So in the winter time, you have like a microclimate inside the hammock. Where the stakes go? Oh, ripped it.
Snap it.
Yep, it's okay. Nope, here it is. Perfect.
Let me see it.
Nope, no, it's fine. At nighttime, it's easier because it's
Yeah.
reflective, you know? Same concept. Clips to the foot end.
And what's this one rated for?
This is a 20-degree quilt. The one you have is 30 degree.
Okay.
This is down. Those are synthetic.
Okay.
Snug's hammock goes in the middle of it. You can see how it's kind of, it curves up. So it's kind of like shaped. So your butt's right here and your legs over here. Because we're laying in a hammock, your butt sinks lower than your legs. So they designed the quilt to mimic that. This is a hammock gear incubator, and the top quilt's called a hammock gear burrow. So it's got the same suspension, 2 shot cords, one that goes all the way around like an oval, and then the other one on the corners that pull it up. So then you just kind of adjust it how you want it, get it nice and tight, but not too tight. If you get it too tight, it'll squish up under you and you'll compress it down. So you want it snug but not tight. These are all like this one. They have like, they just make a lot of them. You know, you can choose what color and how much down you want in it. But my -10 degree was a completely custom build. I had them custom length, custom amount of down, and I had them put a little clip or this little D-ring in a certain spot. That way I could clip the hammock into it and it would pull the quilt out. So it wouldn't like roll off my shoulder when it's really cold out, you know? And you just put all your stuff in there.
Oh yeah. Nice.